Okay, we should have the recording going. Welcome to the January 29th RSA cataloging chat. If you'd like to introduce yourself, feel free to type in the text chat your name and the library you work at. Just some meeting housekeeping. Um, Make sure your microphone is muted. You should be automatically muted when you join the meeting. Video is encouraged but optional. You can enter questions in the chat window. If you prefer to ask your question verbally, you can unmute and ask to chime in. If you'd like to turn on closed captioning, you can click Show Captions on the Zoom toolbar. This meeting will be recorded and the slides will be available. Watch the RSA cataloging email forum for an announcement. The cataloging chat agenda is available on the membership chats page on the support site. So let me take a quick detour and go there. Okay, so if we go to support.librariesofrsa.org, there's at the top of the screen, there's events, and then there's membership chats. And then here's our agenda for today. I'll try to put that link in the chat as well. Okay, so we will go ahead and get started first with a cataloging maintenance center update from Dr. Pamela Thomas. So when you're ready, Pam, take it away.
Okay. Hang on, I gotta pull up my document. Yay. Good afternoon, everybody. So I'm just gonna give a little quarterly report from the CMC. So 1,084 items were cataloged, 541 original and 543 records were enhanced. 119 records were originally cataloged, enhanced, or merged for the RSA backlog cleanup project. 600, I know, we're getting close to that one. 673 bibliographic records were enhanced or identified as merges for the Prairie Cat Cleanup Project, and 1,533 records were merged, deleted, or edited for the Alma/Carly Cleanup Project. So lots of database cleanup. We also provided training in October. We had our Online with us CMC AI in the Library World Part 2 with 38 attendees. In November, we had Solving the Mystery, the Case of Cataloging Kits with 41 live attendees. At the December Online with the CMC, Who Are You? Library of Congress Demographic Group Terms, or LCDGT, we had 31 live attendees. Cataloging training offered last quarter, we had 3D Objects Kits and Realia with 19 completers. Sorry for any of those of you who are students, and I was so behind in grading, but I finished. And then we also had Focus on Cataloging DVDs with 17 completers, and then Focus on Serials Cataloging with 20 completers, which I also taught. So that was my mistake of having too many classes too close together. Metadata projects. We had 14 simple and 23 compound objects were cataloged and uploaded to the Illinois Digital Archives, or IDA website, and 24 documents were transcribed. 2 mobile memory site visits were completed in November, Williamsville Public Library with 2 donors, 9 objects, and 303 files. And then Galesburg Public Library with 1 donor, 24 objects, and 55 files. And Kat will be doing 2 more this spring, New Lenox and Dupo School. We merged 147 records in OCLC. 12 world languages were cataloged for special collections. Arabic, Bengali, Chinese, French, German, Hindi, Korean, Marathi, Quechua, Spanish, Tamil, and Telugu. 27 authority records were created, 22 name, 3 series, and 2 titles. And those were originally cataloged, and 7 name authority records were enhanced. We did some presentations at the ILA conference in October. With Fields of Change, New Mark Fields, we had 38 attendees. Calling all catalogers, the mentorship is for you with 30 attendees, and then Time for a Change, updating access points for inclusivity with 25 attendees. And then we also had an iCamp meetup, meet your match around the campfire with 10 attendees. We are continuing working for doing the Carly cleanup project and the Prairie Cat cleanup and RSA. According to my stats with the RSA cleanup project, 2,738 bibliographic records have been originally cataloged or enhanced and merged in workflows, while 1,197 records have already been updated or no longer exist in workflows, for a total of 3,935 records. And there are 4,600 bibliographic records as part of the project, but OTRS shows that we have 1 encoding level 8 and 339 encoding level M open tickets. So the math isn't working, but I'll let somebody else figure that out because math is not my friend. Upcoming training events, we've got Online with the CMC in February, Fabricated Realms Exploring Textile Realia on February 13th at 10. Cataloging Equipment, Gadgets, Gears with and Gallimigraphy on March 13th, also at 10. Archiving Government Studies, Cataloging Government Documents, April 17th at 10. And The Power of a Name, Examining the Importance of Authority Records on May 8th at 10. And all those can be registered for in L2. And then our cataloging classes, we've got Cataloging Basics February 3rd through March 9th. Focus on Deriving a Record, March 10th through 23rd. Focus on Cataloging CDs, April 7th through 20th. And Eric McKinney will be teaching all 3 of those. He is our new cataloging trainer, by the way. He's got a new job title. We did move our April Online with the CMC because I will be attending RSA Day, presenting cataloging best practices. So I hope to see some of you there. And I've never missed an online with the CMC, and I didn't want to miss one. So we moved our date. And if you have suggestions for future online with the CMC webinars or cataloging classes, please email me and I'll pop that in the chat. I'll be meeting with my staff soon to do online with the CMC and cataloging classes. So we love your suggestions because we'd rather cover something that you're interested in rather than us trying to come up with something that we think you might be interested in. And that's all that I have. Does anybody have any questions?
We're excited, Pam, that you'll be at RSA Day in the flesh this year.
I know.
We're excited.
In person. Yay.
As usual, you've been keeping very busy.
Oh, not me, my team. Yes. Little hamsters in the wheel.
We know how that feels. Yeah.
For sure.
That's exciting though. Eric is the designated trainer now.
Yep.
So hopefully that can relieve some of what's on your plate. That's great.
Yes, because I used to be the only one who taught anything, and it was like, but yeah, but he'll continue cataloging too. So
excellent.
Yeah.
Does anyone have any questions for Pam? Well, if you think of something, her email address is in the chat. Thank you for joining us, Pam. It's always good to see you at these things.
You guys. Yeah.
Okay, so next on our agenda, we have a Rails cataloging services update. Nancy George is unfortunately unable to join us today, but Lisa is going to share Nancy's report. So when you are ready, Lisa.
Sure. Yeah. So Nancy gave Erica a report, so I'm just going to read it verbatim. I'll do my best to make sure I don't stumble too much. So for world language cataloging, a few important updates regarding procedural changes that will impact our operations moving forward. 1. Monthly item limits. In an effort to maintain fairness across all Illinois libraries, we have implemented a monthly item limit of 25 items per library. This change ensures equitable distribution of resources. However, if your library requires more than the allotted 25 items in any given month, please contact us directly. We will review each request individually and work to accommodate your needs. 2. June break for request acceptance. Please note that in June, we will be taking a brief pause from accepting requests. This period will allow us to conduct a thorough review of our grant funding processes and prepare for the upcoming fiscal year. As a result, no requests will be processed in June. We will resume accepting requests in July, and we encourage you to submit your requests at that time. And 3, introduction to a new team member. We're pleased to announce that Sarah Mercurio has joined our team as the Cataloging Services Assistant, responsible for assisting with cataloging requests. Sarah has already proven to be a valuable asset in the past couple of months and will continue to support our efforts moving forward. We are confident that you will find working with her to be a positive experience. Cataloging training. Upcoming training and webinars for Rails members focusing on cataloging and classification topics. There will be a 4-week training course, Understanding Classification using DDC and WebDewey. It will be offered on the Moodle platform covering Dewey Decimal Classification, i.e. DDC, and WebDewey. It will run from January 27th to February 24th. Rails will host webinars on identifying resources and serials cataloging, presented by an external expert. Further details will be shared closer to the event. And then it says it'll be probably April and July of 2025. Training on new RDA and cataloging graphic novels, 2025. We are planning training sessions on the quote new RDA and cataloging graphic novels end quote in 2025. Dates are still being finalized, but these sessions are on our agenda. All training will be listed on L2. Rails continues to develop new courses and revise the content of existing courses. Please reach out to Nancy George, and I will pop her email address into the chat for everybody. But anyway, email Nancy George if you have suggestions for cataloging courses that you'd like to have Rails offer. And here's her email address. And then finally, iCamp, which stands for Illinois Cataloging Mentorship Program. iCamp is designed to support all levels of current and aspiring cataloging staff. Applications for the next cohort will open this summer. If you'd like to learn more or get involved, please reach out to Nancy George. So again, that email address I put in the chat box, any of our committee members, or visit iCamp website for additional details. And then let me get that email or that website address for you. And that will go in the chat as well. Let me see if that works. Yeah. So I know it says website, but I promise it'll link you to the actual iCamp website. Let's see. So yeah, and that's everything. So again, please reach out to Nancy George if you have any questions regarding cataloging services for Rails. She says that she would be happy to help you. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Okay, so we will push ahead. Kendall asked me to share a couple tidbits about Blue Cloud Analytics. I know at the last cataloging chat in September, he showed you the interactive collection browser dashboard report. So he thought a reminder of the different dashboard reports would be helpful. I have them listed here. These are standalone reports, so you can see how your collection's cataloged, and also several of these show how your collection is being used by patrons. So I thought I'd just give you a refresher on the support site where these are. We won't go into them in depth since, like I said, at the September cataloging chat, I know Kendall gave you a good tour of the interactive collection browser. So let me escape out of here. Okay. So if you're on the support site, support.librariesofrsa.org, there's topics up here, and then there's reports. And then if you click Blue Cloud Analytics, Kendall recently, I think it was last week, he reorganized this page. So it may look a little bit different if you haven't been here. So here on the left is a clickable contents for the page, and notice there's interactive standalone dashboard links. So he has them listed here with little blurbs, what they are. Let me go back to the slides. He does have a cheat sheet how to use the interactive dashboards. That's also posted on the support site on that same page. You do need a BCA account to use these dashboard reports. So if you think you may have a BCA account, but you haven't used it for a while, or if you're interested in getting a BCA account set up, I put the help desk email here and you can reach out to us. If you have questions about the dashboard reports, I would reach out to the help desk and ask for Kendall. He is really the expert on these reports. Okay, I think there's one more topic. Okay. The other thing he wanted me to mention, it looks like my video is acting funny. Can everyone still hear me okay? Okay, I'll keep going. If the video gets too weird, I'll turn it off, but I'll keep going. The other thing we wanted to mention is, and you might have participated in it last week, Kendall did a BCA training and general Q&A session. He had a pretty good turnout. There were over 30 people that participated. He does have a recording of the training and the Q&A session. It's posted on the RSA YouTube and it's linked on that BCA page that we just took a look at. The recording is just over an hour long, so it's not too long. Feel free to watch the recording. Even if you're an experienced BCA user, you may pick something up from it. And if you have questions about BCA training, feel free to reach out to our help desk. And again, Kendall is the one at this point that's doing the training. Does anyone have any questions about Blue Cloud Analytics? Okay. We'll switch, Jennifer, to you to share some updates on progress.
Okay, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm kind of freezing. Oh, there goes my camera. Okay, I'm gonna turn off my video. Okay, sorry about that. RSA progress, upgrading brief records to OCLC records. Hold on one second. Sorry. Okay. 519, the number of brief records upgraded since the September 27th, 2024 cataloging chat. RSA continues to work through a system-wide report of brief records with email addresses in their 592 fields, upgrading them to OCLC records. RSA works through the report, oldest to newest, based on the brief record creation date. RSA is currently upgrading brief records entered in February 2023. And please remember to reply to RSA's email if you do not want to send the item. We will cancel the hold and delete the 592 field. So we do not contact you again about the item. I think the only thing I would want to add, when you do create your brief record and you know already that you're not wanting your item to be upgraded, you could leave as brief, or can you leave it blank? What is the best option, Erica, for that? Leave as brief in the 592?
Yeah, let's do leave as brief. I think we set up the 592 so you can't leave it blank
Okay, so
and save the brief record.
I
So
couldn't
yes,
remember.
leave as
Okay.
brief.
Okay, so yes, please do that if you know when you're creating the brief record that you're not going to want that item upgraded, and then we won't be requesting it from you. And I think that's it.
Okay, so next we have Pam touched on this during her update. I ran some numbers in the online help desk and this is what we came up with. So I'll let you, Jennifer, share the numbers we came up with for the CMC progress on the backlog.
Okay, all right. The CMC continues to upgrade Braille, encoding level 8 and encoding level M records in the cataloging request backlog to full OCLC records. Looks like there are 269 encoding level 8 requests processed since the 9/27/2024 cataloging chat. Only one encoding level 8 request is open. That's exciting. An age of the oldest open encoding level 8 request is February 28th, 2019. There have been 138 encoding level M and Braille requests processed since the 9/27/2024 catalog and chat. 331 open encoding level M request, and the age of the oldest open encoding level M request is 12/12/2018. So yes, the CMC continues to make excellent progress, is on track to finish the backlog by the end of this year. So that's great news.
Okay, so the last part of that agenda item, libraries visited for cataloging site visits. So take it away, Jennifer.
Okay, and sorry, I'm having to leave my camera off. It was it was acting up. Okay. Since the September 27th, 2024 catalog and chat, the RSA cataloging team visited 12 libraries. You can see the list below. AC Central, Beardstown, I guess I should say the Guard Elementary School, Blandonsville Higher Library District, Chenoa Public Library, Chillicothe Public Library District, Eureka High School, Greater West Central Public Library District, Hayworth Public Library District, Kewanee Public Library District, Mount Hope, Funks Grove Townships Public Library District, Prairie Creek Public Library District, and Wyoming Public Library District. Public Library District. And we did enjoy visiting you, and thank you for hosting us. And you'll probably be hearing, if we haven't already visited you, we will be in the future reaching out to contact you about a cataloging site visit.
And
Oh.
we do have the online
Oh, thanks,
form on
Erica.
our support site. Yeah, if you want to request a visit at any point. Okay, I think that's good for that. Any questions so far? Okay, we'll jump to me. This is my agenda item. Okay, so I thought I would follow up on the 2024 annual cataloging theme, which was connecting with catalogers. One of the parts of that theme was reworking the basic workflows cataloging workshop, which the team successfully did. It's now a single 4-hour session. It started to be offered last fall, and we have really seen increased registration for this workshop. Some of them have even been full, which is exciting. So condensing it was the right approach. Reworking the BibLoad workshop is still on the horizon, but item group editor training is taking higher priority. So we'll talk more about the plan for item group editor training later in this meeting. Another part of last year's goal involved the technical services membership group and email list. We did launch that email list or forum over the summer last year, and then there's a couple other cataloging email forums as well. I know those of you in the meeting are subscribed to those, so I won't go into too much depth on those. Let's see, we started cataloging chats last September, so we're continuing with those. And then we launched site visits, I think it was late in the year of 2023, actually, we soft launched them. So we've been doing visits for over a year now, and those are going very well. Okay, so our theme for this year, it's an internal theme that the RSA cataloging team will be working on. We're calling it internal cross training and knowledge sharing. So that means over the course of 2025, members of the RSA cataloging team will be working with each other and training each other on various areas of support that we provide to you. Some of those things, examples include removing individual cataloger accounts from workflows, providing call number and ISBN, addition assistance, resolving item on wrong record and duplicate record situations, troubleshooting when you try to load records into workflows, advising on cataloging parameters, so home locations, item types. So this theme has a couple goals. We're trying to widen the depth of our knowledge internally and more importantly, provide more effective and responsive service to you, the member, rather than relying on a single RSA staff member to help you. So as this cross training gets underway, we'll start in February. When you reach out to the RSA help desk, you may work with a different cataloger than you're used to, depending on the topic of your question or your issue. So this will be very helpful for us internally. And like I said, you'll also see benefits on your end in service. Does anyone have any questions about our theme for this year? Okay, let's shift to you, Erin, to talk about the annual magazine records.
Okay. If your library uses the call number and item maintenance wizard to catalog magazines and workflows, when you catalog a 2025 issue for one of the magazines below, remember to use the record for that magazine with the bracketed 2025 in its title. The magazines are the same as last year, which are Better Homes and Gardens, Consumer Reports, Good Housekeeping, National Geographic, The New Yorker, People, and Time. Using annual records makes it easier to catalog the magazine and call number and item maintenance, as well as improve search and display in both workflows and the RSA CAT. For example, if cataloging a 2025 issue of People, search People in the call number and item maintenance wizard using the periodical title field, which is one of the ones that are circled with the red. Be sure to set the library to all rather than your library if you have not yet cataloged any 2025 issues of that magazine. After the first one is in, you will not have, you can just use your library in the library area. If you limit the search to your library, but you have not yet cataloged any 2025 issues of that magazine, the 2025 record will not be found. In the result list, look for People with 2025, the bracketed in its title, and the 25 listed as the publisher year. Select the 2025 record, then click Modify at the bottom and add your magazine issue just like you would for any other new item. If your library uses the serial control module, continue using the comprehensive records to catalog your magazine issues. Using the comprehensive records avoids the need to create new serial control records on the annual records. If your library does not use serial control and you have already cataloged 2025 magazine issues on the 2024 or comprehensive records, which describe all publication years, RSA will transfer your records to the 2025 records. There's no need to delete and recatalog any 2025 magazine issues you wrongly cataloged on the 2024 or comprehensive records. RSA will reach out to make sure you understand to use the annual records going forward if we notice you are continually cataloging on the wrong records. And information about the annual magazine records is mentioned in the RSA guidelines for cataloging magazines and workflows, which is on the RSA cataloging support site or RSA support site under best practices in the cataloging handbook. Remember that annual magazine records appear on the brief record report because these records are assigned the brief serial format of brief-SER. Brief-SER is the best format for the annual magazine records because they are locally created for use only in workflows. You can find the record format by looking on the Control tab in the Call Number and Item Maintenance wizard, then the line that reads Record Format. It will say Brief Format for periodicals, magazines, and serials for the annual records.
Okay, thank you, Erin. Does anyone have any questions about the annual records? This is the second year we've done them, so we're hoping the process continues to get comfortable for everybody. I chose those magazine titles again because they had at least 800 items attached to the comprehensive records that describe all the publication years. So that 800 is the cutoff for us making annual records. Okay, next we'll talk about newly created cataloging parameters since the September cataloging chat. Rhonda's unable to join us today, so I'll run through these with you. We had several new home location codes created, listed there on the screen. Juvenile manga may be of interest. I was a little bit surprised we didn't already have one for that. So if you have that collection within your library and that code might be helpful, feel free to reach out to us at the help desk and we can add that to your home location menu. All of these codes are in the complete lists on the RSA support site. So I'll take a quick detour there to show you. So if we're on the support.librariesofrsa.org and we go to topics, there's parameters as it thinks about it. Okay, here we go. So here's cataloging parameters. Okay, so we have lists of home location, item type, and then the item categories. All right, I'll go back to the slides. We did have a new item type created. I know we don't ordinarily create new item types, so this was a little bit exciting. It was suggested by Fond du Lac. They had, I can't remember if it was a Yodo box or a Tony box, but they wanted to catalog the little story pieces that you put in the player. They wanted to catalog those separately than the player itself. So Kendall made a miscellaneous audiobook item type for those little pieces that go in the player and read the story and have the music. So if you have that type of item in your collection, the good thing about this item type too is it's pretty generic. I know Kendall did that intentionally, so it could be used for other types of audiobooks too. It doesn't necessarily need to be the Tony box or the Yodo player characters. We didn't create any new item categories 1, 2, and 3. Those are fixed vocabularies for fiction, nonfiction, reading level, and general format. We did have several new item category 4s listed here on the screen. So if you'd like any of these added to your menu, if it's been customized, feel free to reach out to the help desk. And then we also had a handful of item cat 5s. So same thing here. If you like to use any of these for your collection and your menu is limited, feel free to reach out to us and we'll get that put in your menu. Okay. We'll jump back to you, Jennifer. Tips for identifying pirated books.
Okay, thanks. Well, I was going to try to leave my camera on, but I'm just going to have to turn it off. Okay, over the past few months, RSA has noticed an increase in pirated items, including books being cataloged and circulated in workflows. RSA posted an announcement about this about this issue to the directors and cataloging email forums last week. But we want to share a reminder during this meeting as well. What is pirating? Pirated refers to copyrighted materials such as software, music, movies, and books that are created and made available without the permission of the copyright holder. Pirated books are often identified by at least one of these characteristics. The low quality binding, the glue may actually smell bad or spread unevenly. Second rate paper, the pages may be thinner or unevenly cut. Bad print quality includes missing pages or blurry images. Low grade cover quality, book titles and author names are not centered properly, missing copyright page or lack of legitimate publisher information. I do want to point out with that one that a lot of times, like, books may not, it may be certain self-published, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they're pirated. It's just don't take that as an indication that it's automatically a pirated item if it's missing that. Blurry barcode or barcode with a hint of color. Um, just saw a weird barcode come in actually on a movie that, on a DVD or the UPC that you could tell was off. And also, the content may be plagiarized from outside sources such as websites. RSA has seen this characteristic with 2 books sent to us for brief record upgrades. Yes, actually, Lisa came across those. And what they did is they took the information from websites and just, put it in a book, bound it, threw a number on, it was good to go. But no, it was a pirated item. If you encounter a pirated item in workflows or the RSA CAT, be sure to report it to the RSA help desk. Detailed instructions on what to do are available here, and I can show you here in a second. Just want to point out there's no need for your library to contact the other library that owns the pirated item. Say another library's item came across, oh, this is pirated. Just contact us and we'll take care of contacting that library. If you need help identifying whether an item is pirated, please reach out to the RSA help desk. We will gladly review your item and determine if it can be cataloged in workflows. I do appreciate, or we all do appreciate, letting us know. It's really hard to tell on these items. I mean, unless we actually see them, coming across for cataloging, or if they're reported for us, there's really no way for us to know. Erica, did you want me to try to share my screen? Or do you want to
Sure.
show, or I can try it here.
Yeah, let me stop share.
It's going to show where those instructions are available. Okay. Screen two.
Unfortunately, there's no magic report we can run to find these items. So like Jennifer was saying, it really is appreciated that if you come across these, you tell us about them, because we really can't tell from our end.
No. Sorry, I was looking at something else. A few different ways probably to get to this, but the easiest way for me, just up in the search, I'm just going to put pirated. And right here, advanced reader copies, ARCs, and pirated items. And the procedure that we were just talking about is right here. The procedure if you encounter an advanced reader copy or a pirated item in workflows. And I think that's it.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thanks.
I'll go ahead and share my screen again.
Do I need to stop here? Let me stop sharing. Maybe that will. Okay.
Let's see. Are you able to see my screen again?
Yes.
Okay. All right. What's next? Okay, Lisa is up next, attaching to existing brief records. Some tips for that.
Yeah, so when you're out there cataloging an item in workflows, and if you do a search, title and author or an ISBN search, and the only thing that's popping up is a brief record, and it just lists the title in the 245 field and possibly an author in the 100 field, we would say not to use that existing brief record. Just because it's really vague. We at RSA recommend attaching your item to an existing brief record only if that brief record includes the author, the title, and an ISBN or UPC. So the ISBN in the 020 field or a UPC in the 024. The reason for that is if you use a vague brief record like the one shown in this example here, which doesn't even have wow, that doesn't even have an author. It's really, really, really vague. It doesn't really provide enough information to verify that this item described on this brief record really actually matches the one that you have in hand. you know, if you think about it, there are so many times like you might have Catcher in the Rye published over and over and over by various publishers. So how would you know that like the brief record for this version of Catcher in the Rye matches your copy of Catcher in the Rye if you don't have some just a little bit more information as like a UPC or well in that case an ISBN, you know, since it's a book example. You know, so you just kind of want to avoid that. It is important to note though that just because you encounter a vague brief record, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's wrong. I'm sure everybody here has encountered a book or a movie that they just don't have an ISBN or a UPC. You see that with smaller publishers or with self-published items. So, you know, if you don't have that information on your item when you create your brief record, like you know, you can't include it on the brief record that you create. So it's still correct. And on the next slide, we'll talk a little bit more about what to do in those sorts of situations. Okay, so, you know, if only a vague brief record exists, you know, and you have an item that does have an ISBN or a UPC. In those situations, we recommend just creating a brand new brief record and adding in that information that you have. That way, everybody can know like what specific manifestation it is of the item that you have that the brief record is describing. It'll be helpful to not only you and your patrons, but to any other cataloger out in RSA. If you do have an item that you know, is lacking an ISBN or UPC, we highly recommend making use of that 500 note field that's on that the brief record template that you have when you use the add title wizard. Remember, you can use the 500 general note field to share any sort of detail that you feel is helpful for patrons to know. And that becomes really handy with vague when creating a brief record that might be for like a vaguish sort of item. By filling out that 500 note field, you're helping to make that brief record less vague. So, you know, we recommend if you do have an item that doesn't have an ISBN or a UPC, some things that might be helpful to put in there might be like the publisher. If you could figure out the publication date, put that in there, or at the very minimum, a copyright date if the item has it. Maybe the number of discs or the runtime or the pagination. You know, anything that kind of like sets your item apart from anything else that other people might find out in workflows. You know, and if you do have an item that legitimately does not have a UPC or an ISBN, and you do find a brief record that like has the correct title, the correct author, and the person that created that did enter information into the 500 note field, and you're like, this is a match for what I have, you're more than welcome to use that brief record because it's slightly out of that whole vague realm of just the title and author. And all of this is documented in the Creating a Brief Record guide, which I am going to put the link in the chat in case some of you want like an updated version of it. So that'll open up the PDF for you. But if you have your guide in hand, there are some good examples of how to create a brief record for an item without an ISBN, one without an ISSN, and one without a UPC. And those are going to be found on pages 18, 19, and 20 in the guide. And on the next slide, we have an example of what this might look like. So, or sorry, we have an example of what the 500 note field is going to look like. Because you might be wondering, like, if I add this 500 note field, do patrons see it? Am I putting all this effort in for no reason? You know, don't be concerned. Patrons do see that. So Erica has some nice little screenshots here. I'll show you, you know, if you do create, in this case, it's a jigsaw puzzle example. On the left, you have what that 500 note field looks to, you know, you when you're using workflows. But on the right, we have the example of what it'll look like to patrons that are searching in the RSA CAT. So, you know, while if you didn't have this 500 note field, it'd be really vague for patrons to know, like, okay, what's this vehicle world jigsaw puzzle? Like, what does that mean? I could guess there's cars, maybe. But Cambridge here added a lot of information, so patrons know a little bit better what they're going to get when they come to get this item. Are there any questions at all about this? No, then I relinquish the floor.
Excellent. Thank you, Lisa. Okay, we're about halfway through the agenda, so we're in a good position to take a 5-minute break. I have 1:44. Oh, just turned to 1:45. So let's reconvene at 1:50. I will set a timer on my screen. So I'll see you back here in a few minutes. Okay, if I can figure out how to stop this. Okay, there we go. Everyone is wide awake now. Okay. All right. Let me go back to the slides. I realized I forgot to pause the recording for the break, so I'll see if Kendall can edit that out of the recording before he uploads it to YouTube. Okay. This next one was Rhonda's, so I'll present on this one. We had a member reach out, I think it was earlier this month, late December, letting us know that they had bought a new type of playaway product called a Wazoodle, which the website for Playaway describes it as a speaker sidekick. It basically has stories, activities, exercises, interactive games, meditation, nature soundscapes. So all of this in a little speaker device for a child to check out. I couldn't find any of these records yet in our database, but I did find some out in OCLC. So I put some fields here. If you happen to buy these items or come across one of these records at some point in workflows, notice it does have the Playaway as the publisher. It looks like in the 300 field, they're using audio media speaker, which makes sense since it is the speaker sidekick. And then this record had a 500 field saying it was issued by Playaway's Wazoodle, and it has a short little blurb about what it is. So just be on the lookout. But if you do happen to buy these, we recommend using the EquipAud, the audio equipment item type. That's really the best fit for this type of device. We have had, I think Forrest wasn't using EquipAud already, but we have had instances in the past, not with this necessarily, but you may already be using the preferred item type and it would check out differently. So if that happens, we can help you figure out a different item type to use. But our first choice, like I mentioned, is EquipAud. If you get the Wazoodles, reach out to us so we can get EquipAud set up. Or we can check your existing circuit and hold rules if you already have that item type, and we can help you figure out if that would work or if we need a different item type. If your library uses OCLC Connection or Record Manager, you could import the OCLC record for the Wazoodle into workflows. If your library doesn't use OCLC or you can't find a match there, that's perfectly okay. You can create a brief record. I would put Wazoodle in the title, the 245 field. I know it's not that way on the OCLC record, but I think it would be helpful for the brief record, just so patrons have a very visual reminder of what it is, especially since those brief records, like Lisa mentioned, may not have a lot of other information on them. Remember to put your email address in the 592 field on the brief record if you'd like us to eventually upgrade it to an OCLC record. If you want the Wazoodle to stay on the brief record, like we mentioned earlier in the meeting, when Jen was talking about the brief record upgrade progress, you can type leave as brief in the 592 field, and that will signal to us not to place it on hold, and it can just stay put. Does anyone have any questions about the Wazoodles? Okay. We'll jump to you, Jennifer, reporting workflows diacritic errors.
Okay. All right. If you notice strange characters on a workflows record, especially a record that describes a world language item, the strange characters may be the result of a diacritic display error. Excuse me. First, check your workflows font to make sure dialogue or Lucida, is that
Yeah, Lucida.
Lucida? I'm not I'm like, huh, it looked different to me. Sorry about that. Console are selected if those fonts are available on your computer. If both Dialog and Lucida Console are unavailable, use the default font Verdana. Be sure to say yes to save the properties when you shut workflows, so the font will still be in effect the next time you use workflows on that computer. These instructions, how to set up your default font, are included in the Workflows Cataloging Setup Guide, and I can show you that here in a minute. I think there's another slide after that,
Yeah.
after this one. If your font is correctly configured in workflows, but the strange characters still display on the record, like the screenshot on this slide, send an email to the help desk. In your email subject line, type diacritic error. Share the title and an item ID attached to the record. RSA will correct the diacritic error and confirm with you. You can still use the record to catalog your item despite the diacritic error if the core match points on the record match the item. For example, author title, publication information, and physical description. And I will go ahead and share just to show. At least let me try this. Okay. So hopefully you see, let me move this thing over there. Okay. Like I said, quite a few ways to get to this, but I'm just going to cataloging setup. The Workflows Cataloging Setup Guide. And you can just download the guide right here. I think that's it. Was there anything else, Erica?
I think that was it. Does anyone have any questions about the diacritic errors? Mostly, we just want you to remember if you see strange characters displaying, if you have a chance to let us know so we can fix the record. I've been trying to think if we could generate a report somehow so we could find these records, but that would be tricky because the little garbled characters look different. It's not like it's a consistent funny little character. So really reporting them, much like the pirated items, reporting them to us is really the best defense for getting these corrected. Okay, let me share my screen again. Okay. All right, I'll take care of this next one too. I thought I would first give a little bit of information about the Pipe Z analytic that can be entered in call numbers before I talk about how we've seen some of these call numbers that have the pipe but without the Z. So this vertical line, the pipe and the Z, it should be entered into call numbers and workflows that are attached to records that describe multi-piece items. And those items on the multi-piece record check out separately. I've put here how you make the pipe. It's also the delimiter in the 949 tag. So if you use OCLC connection or record manager, it's the same character. The pipe Z in the call number is important because it lets the patron placing a hold in the RSA cat specify which item from the multi-piece set they want to put their hold on. So if you're attached to a record, for example, that describes the first season of the TV show House, and you have each disc cataloged on that record checking out separately, you would want to be sure to put the pipe Z before the disc number in the call number. That way, again, the patron placing the hold would have some control over what they're getting. I will say RSA best practice is to single barcode the TV series and check it all out under one barcode, but I know some libraries prefer to do the disc separately. So this is one instance. With magazines, the pipe Z is used too for those call numbers. Again, so somebody in the RSA cat placing a hold on people would be able to have some control over which issue rather than workflows randomly picking one of them, and who knows which date it will be. So that's how the Pipe C is supposed to work. Be careful when you're using the Pipe C analytic and call numbers that you remember to put the Z after the pipe. Like I mentioned a minute ago, this is the issue we've seen. There's not a lot of items, but we have noticed, I put here a small but steady stream of call numbers that have pipes in them, but they don't have the Z's. The thing is, if the Z isn't there, the part of the call number that appears after the Z, no, after the pipe, excuse me. So the part of the call number that appears after the pipe, it doesn't show up in the RSA CAT, which could confuse somebody if they've written down that call number and they're trying to find it on the shelf. So basically it displays an incomplete call number. We do regularly check for call numbers with pipes but no Z's and correct them. And we'll touch base with you if you notice, like I put here, a trend that your library is creating these. All of them I know are accidents. I know nobody is is trying to do this intentionally. We do have a report we can run to see if there's any call numbers in your collection with this issue. So I put a link to the report request form, and I can show where that's on the support site in a minute. But when you submit the report request, you can just say call numbers with pipes, but no Z, and we'll run the report and follow up with you. Chances are your collection probably doesn't have any, but if you're interested in seeing for sure, we can run a report for you. Okay, let me just, okay, so I'm not trying to pick on Ransom Memorial Library, but they had an example I found. So notice here in the workflows call number field, they have a volume in their call number. Probably they don't need the Pipe Z in all fairness, because this record just describes one volume, one book. But for whatever reason, the volume is in the call number. And notice that the pipe is there, but there's no Z. So that means, I know this is a little bit small, but that means in the RSA CAT, when you're looking at it on the item detail screen, that means that the volume part isn't visible in the call number. So like I mentioned, it's incomplete, and it could potentially be confusing if somebody's trying to find the item on the shelf. Okay, let me close out of here and I'll show you the report request form. Okay, so if I go up, I think it's in Get in Touch, and then there's report request. There's this one-time request. So that would be the best one to use for the call numbers with pipes but no Z's report. Does anyone have any questions about that? Okay. The next thing I wanted to mention, we've had this report for a little bit, and I know a couple different libraries have used it. I thought I'd mention that we have a custom report we can run on our end to do call number batch edits. Cersei Dynex worked with us to develop the report. And what this does is it can change call numbers from one prefix to another. The thing is, though, those call numbers have to consistently use the same prefix, both for the existing call numbers that you're wanting to change and for the new call number prefix you want it to use. So if you have, in this example, graphic novel call numbers, and maybe some had G and some had graphic book, that wouldn't work with the batch edit. We would probably need to try to do two different batch edits because again, it relies on a consistent prefix in order to make the change. So we can't have a mix of some call numbers have G and other call numbers have graphic book. If you're interested in call number batch edits, if you think you might have some call numbers in your collection that this would work well, reach out to us. And in the email, if you could mention the existing call number prefix and the new call number prefix that should be assigned with the batch edit, that will give us enough information to determine if we could do the edit. And if so, we'll share a report with you after the edit that confirms which call numbers were changed. I will mention too, I didn't put it on this slide. It takes some time to do the batch edit, so it's not a fast process. When I do it in the test workflow server first, because what I don't want to do is change hundreds or thousands of your call numbers and it doesn't go as expected in the live database. So it does take some time to do the batch edits, but I think it's well worth it. If we're able to do it based on the consistency of the prefixes, that way it saves you a lot of trouble of doing it manually in workflows. Remember, you'd still need to change the spine label, of course, but this would be one less step for changing call numbers if we can do a batch edit for you. So just keep this in mind in case it might be helpful for you at some point. Any questions about that? Okay. All right. The saga of the item cat 3 script. Okay, so I thought I would give a recap of what's going on with this script and then share an update on what we're doing to try to get this fixed. So we talked about it the last meeting, but really this has been an issue longer than that. So each day early in the morning, we run an item cat 3 script that touches every item cataloged or edited since the script ran the day before. The script is making sure that each item is assigned the correct item cat 3 based on its item type. Remember, the item cat 3 is very important because it helps with format searching in the RSA cat. The trouble comes into play, not so much with Braille and government documents, but with the large print. And so the script looks at the coding on the bibliographic record, specifically the fixed fields, those little boxes at the top of the record. The problem with large print comes in is that a lot of the large print items in our database are assigned book, new book, or a new book holdable item types, which is fine. But the thing is, those map to the book item category 3 in the script. So the script first flips the large print items from large print to book as it hits the first part of the script. Then the script moves further down and it starts to look at the coding in the bibliographic record. And if it finds the right coding, specifically in that reproduction fixed field value and the physical dimensions in the 300 field, it has to be at least 18 centimeters. Then the script changes the item cat 3 from book back to large print. This process happens repeatedly when the script runs. So we have incorrect numbers of large print items that are sometimes returned when you're searching by large print in item group editor, if you're using the advanced search pickaxe in call number and item maintenance, if you're running a Blue Cloud Analytics report, and most problematically, if you're searching the RSA cat, the format is still book due to an indexing issue. It's a little bit tricky to wrap your head around. So the items have been changed to the large print cat 3. So if you look up an item individually, you'll see it is large print, but workflows indexing isn't being updated. So it's still considering those books. The indexing trouble doesn't happen every day, but it happens enough that we get reports from at least a few libraries every month that this is going on. So what we've done, last fall, we submitted a custom request to Cersei Dynex to rework that script, specifically to stop the large print trouble. Cersei Dynex put the custom report in line with all their other custom reports that they create. and they have started working on it this week, actually. So we're not sure how long it will take to develop, test, and implement, but I'm hopeful because the consultant at Cersei Dynex who is reworking it is the one who originally created it. So that's helpful. It's the same person. So after it's reworked, the script will keep running daily. And what we decided is it's going to first edit the large print Braille and government documents, Cat 3s, based on designated item types like book, large print. There's a Braille item type, there's a GovDoc item type, or it looks in that coding on the bibliographic record in the fixed fields, the reproduction field like we were talking about. So the script would edit the large print Braille and government documents items first. Then it would edit the remaining items and workflows to the appropriate item Cat 3 based on the item type. And we have some mappings on our support site that tells you the item type and its corresponding Cat 3. So for example, if it's a Blu-ray item type, it maps to the movie category 3. But the idea is it takes care of the Braille, large print, and government documents first. And then when the script runs and reaches the item type, item Cat 3 mappings, it ignores the large print, Braille, and government documents. So it won't be touching things twice like it is in the current script. So once the script is implemented and we've tested it and we've made sure it's working like it should, watch the cataloging email forum for an announcement. That way at that point, you know, if there's continued issues, reach out to us because the script won't be working correctly if we still have this issue. But like I said, I'm hopeful that we can take care of those special items first. And then have the script ignore them when it moves further down to do the rest of the editing. Does anyone have any questions? I know that's a lot of technicality, but like I said, we're optimistic that this can be reworked. Okay, stay tuned. All right, next up is Erin. She's going to tell you about a couple documents we've revised. So take it away, Erin, when you are ready.
Okay. There's two updated cataloging documents in the cataloging handbook on the RSA support site. First one is the cataloging at a glance cheat sheet. It includes helpful tidbits to know about RSA cataloging, including Workflows cataloger accounts, Workflows how-to refreshers, additional cataloging services, and 2025 basic Workflows cataloging, RSA BibLoad workshops, and RSA cataloging chats. Look there so you can see when you can take a Workflows cataloging workshop or the next cataloging chat that's available. And the other one that's been upgraded is the matching an OCLC record to your video or sound recording. It's also on the RSA support site in the cataloging handbook under the matching. This cheat sheet lists updated mark fields to examine when comparing an OCLC record to a video or sound recording. Comparing the record to the item will help you determine if the record is a match and should be used to catalog the item.
I was going to throw a couple links in the chat. So there's the cataloging at a glance, and then the matching one. The matching an OCLC record to your book, that one is on the list to update, hopefully at some point this year. We did update the magazine one not too long ago, and now with the video sound recording one updated, we just have the book one to do. So that is on the list, and we'll be sure to mention it once it's ready and uploaded to the support site. Okay. I think we're ready to jump to Lisa to talk about upcoming cataloging events. So let me advance the slides. Okay. Oops, you're muted.
Of course I am. So, upcoming cataloging events. The first one we'll give you some information about are the cataloging workshops. So the next upcoming one will be February 27th. That'll be on Zoom. And on this, I'm not going to link out to every single last one of these. It's on that cataloging at a glance sheet if you'd like to go to L2 and register. But the one in February is on Zoom. And do note the registration deadline. It is very important because we need to have time to prep all the documents. So make sure if you or anybody you know is interested in that to register by February 13th. On March 13th, I will be at Brown County in person, teaching a workshop. Yeah, Aaron's like, hey. I just checked, no one's registered right now. So if you or someone you know needs cataloging training or a refresher and you want some sort of field trip, go sign up before it fills up. Um, come say hi in person. But you have until February 27th to make that decision. The next two are in Zoom. They'll be April 29th and then May 27th. And again, the registration deadlines are just listed right there, and they're also listed on the L2 site. Yes. The next cataloging event we want to tell you about are going to be the BibLoad workshops. These are trainings that Erica teaches. So the next upcoming one will be February 25th. The registration deadline is February 18th, and that is on Zoom. And then in April on the 25th, Erica's going to be at the Dunlap Public Library, assuming we get at least one registrant. So if you'd like to visit Erica and get some BibLoad training, just make sure you register by April 18th. And again, you can find that on the Cataloging at a Glance cheat sheet or on L2, or check the,
I'll
forums.
I'll also mention that I learned Dunlap has a Keurig machine, and I think it's just $1 to get a cup of
Oh,
coffee. So a
fancy.
perk of of going to Dunlap.
Yeah, I don't know if Brown County has a Keurig machine, but I do know they like remodeled, so it'll be fancy.
That's a brand new library.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
a
it's
brand new
brand new.
library. Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, they have a private space. We'll be in our own like secluded room with the TV and I don't know. Should be nice. Let's see. We have upcoming item group editor training. So I'm just going to read this for you, but just make sure you're watching the cataloging email forums once item group editor training like officially is offered. So you guys are just kind of getting a little teaser for it. It's something we are going to offer soon. But it's just not quite officially being offered quite yet. We just need to work some kinks out. So for those that don't know, the item group editor wizard and workflows, it essentially allows you to search for a group of items in your collection and then make bulk changes to those in a single batch. I use it in my job. All of us kind of do. It's super cool. So if you have a need for that, like it's definitely a fun wizard to know how to use. Examples of values that can be changed using item group editor include the home location, price, item type, and item categories 4 through 5. Do note it doesn't do batch edits of call numbers. And just thank you in advance for your patience as we continue to put the finishing touches on this training. We are excited about starting to offer it, offer training at it in the coming weeks. So thank you for your patience, but soon, it'll be offered soon.
Yeah, I can share a couple other details. I'm working with I'm calling it a guinea pig library. I have training scheduled with them in February just to make sure everything goes okay. I thought we'd start slow with the guinea pig. I'm pretty confident this training is going to be offered in person at your library for only one library at a time. Several years ago, I taught this training for multiple libraries, workshop style, and it was very difficult because each of your collections is coded differently, which is perfectly okay. Each of you has unique collections. but it makes coming up with training examples very difficult if there's 4 of you in the room and everybody's cataloged their items differently. So like I said, I'm pretty confident this will be offered in person at your library rather than trying to do it workshop style. So stay tuned. Like I said, we're finalizing the curriculum and working with the guinea pig next month. So we will get there. Okay, any questions about that? Okay, the last upcoming event, Lisa.
Sure. Yeah. So finally, the last one to talk about today is going to be our RSA Day session that the cataloging department is hosting. So we're doing something different this year. Instead of doing a game, we are going to keep it kind of chill, low key for you all. And we're going to do something called Colorful Cataloging, a network event. So on this slide, it'll have information for, how to register on L2 for this. But RSA Day is going to be April 10th, and it's going to be held at 5 Points, Washington. The colorful cataloging session itself is going to be from 11:40 to 12:40. I think it's session 2. I don't know. It'll say on the agenda when you get it. But essentially, here's a little summary blurb that you'll see on the agenda for it is join your fellow catalogers for a colorful networking session hosted by members from the RSA Cataloging Department. This time is for you to discuss all things cataloging with other catalogers in RSA while coloring the provided cataloging or library themed coloring pages as you chat. If you don't want to color, that's fine too. Come for snacks and networking. At the end, you'll get to vote for the top 3 pictures colored during our session. Winning colorists will get prizes. I think it's going to be super fun. We're going to start working on that starting in February. Again, it's just going to be kind of low, like chill event. You could just come if you want to just decompress and just talk to all your fellow catalogers. It's not on this summary, but it's also obviously open to anybody just in tech service because it's cataloging adjacent and stuff. So tell everybody you know, come out there, have some fun with us, join us for snacks and some coloring and just some chit chat.
And you might be hungry because lunch is later this year at RSA
Oh,
Day. So
then you
lunch is after this session. So if you need a snack to power through until the lunch break, feel free to come. But like Lisa said, everybody's welcome. I would say even if you're not a cataloger or a technical services staff member, we would gladly let you join us if you want to color and just mingle with other library staff. That would be
Oh,
perfectly fine
we're
too.
not stationed at the door bouncing people that just joking around. I'm with Erica. Yes, of course, all are welcome, but it is geared towards cataloging and tech service. But yeah, if you have a friend that's like in circulation, they are more than welcome to come join with us and learn what you do, in your little cave where you catalog. So
We hope to see you there. Okay, that's it for the agenda. Are there any final questions about what we discussed? Just remember these slides and the recording, they'll be posted on the membership chats page on the support site, and watch for a post on the cataloging email forum once they're up there. If there's no questions, we'll see you in May. We've got the next one scheduled 4 months from today. We'll do a different day and we'll shift to the morning. And I do have the registration available if you'd like to go ahead and sign up. It is posted on L2 as well. But with that, I think we're in a good spot to conclude. So thank you everyone for joining us. We hope to see you at RSA Day or an upcoming workshop, and we'll look for you in May. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.